walkthrough for Raven here. CP is going to be fighting finesse. You're going to choose between Hope Infusion or Unlimiting Overflow, depending on what the other healer is running. Normally we put Hope Infusion on the RO and Unlimiting Overflow on the Courage, but it's just preference. It's not necessarily set in stone. Soothing Tide as well. Most of your Warden heals are going to be HOTS or Conal. There isn't anything that's really going to be direct healing. So we're going to look at area of effect more than single target CP. Swift Renewal I have in there as a flex. Sometimes I take it off and I put it on for a little bit extra resistance, as if I'm doing something that keeps me away from the group. It gives me just a little bit of extra survivability. But the three that we don't take off, or I don't take off, is Fighting Finesse, Hope or Unlimiting, and Soothing. And then my red CP is just stock Boundless, Fortified, and Rejuvenation. I have it paired up with Celerity to go a little bit faster, but that's your flex also. And then I'm gonna crash. Because the game is stupid. Okay, and we're back in. Okay, so the two things that you're going to be responsible for that nobody else is, for the most part, is going to be the Minor Vuln from the Fetcher Infection, and Majors for the entire group. If there's a Brittledon or a Warden DPS in the group, you'll take bugs off. They're going to cover the debuff for you, and only one player at a time can put out the dot from the Fetcher Infection. Obviously you're not doing even half the amount of damage that a DPS is, so don't take that away from them. Just take it off, put something else on. The Majors, though, you're the only person that's going to be giving that to the group, so it's very important that that never falls off. It has a massive uptime for the proc, so it's fairly simple to keep up with. Just make sure it's the same radius as a Blood Altar, so as long as everybody is highlighted in your group, they are getting the cloak. So just make sure that does not ever fall off. The other things that are coming uniquely from you are going to be the harvest synergy from budding seeds or corrupting pollen. I prefer corrupting pollen unless we're in Cloud Rest, because the budding seeds has a second cast that creates an additional, like, quick heal. But that second cast is really obnoxious when you're just trying to make sure that the hot and the synergy is up full time, so Corrupting Pollen is a really simple one cast. You don't have to worry about the double proc bullshit. But I'll use Budding Seeds in Cloud Rest because I run this on my back bar. I only have 2 hots on my back bar, so if in the event I get bar swapped in Execute, I can hit that for a little bit of an extra hot if Baneful goes out at the same time. My other skills: Orbs and Wall on the back. The front is, of course, Combat Prayer, Lustrous Healing. Vigor I have here as a flex. This can also be Blood Altar, but for the sake of showing the rotation, Blood Altar is kind of boring, so I'm just going to put Vigor there since I do use it in content sometimes, depending on how me and my co-healer are coordinated. Regen. Regen is not part of my rotation going back and forth between bars. I will put out regen if there's somebody outside of group. If everybody is condensed in the hots, I don't waste my time with regen. Enchanted Growth gives the group minor intellect and endurance. If there's a blading group that's putting out path, they are also giving out minor intellect and endurance. But it is really important to everybody's resource management to make sure that those two minors are going out. So just make sure that your timers don't fall off from this. You're not really using it for the hot. You're using it more so for the buffs. But it is also a really, really nice hot. If you find yourself in a situation where a whole lot of people need a really quick heal and you're trying to do a burst, you either combat prayer or you use Enchanted Growth. Either one of them are good. Rotation is really, really straightforward. I have RO on my tune right now, running the Ritual Mundus. If you're having resource issues, which you really shouldn't if you're running RO, but if you're having resource issues, you can do Atronach instead of Ritual, if you'd prefer. Pre-buff with Combat Prayer and Regen. I'll put out 4 regens to begin with before we start a fight to make sure everybody has that buff to go in with. 2 Combat Prayers to apply it to the whole group. Get your Illustrious down, and then as soon as the fight starts, you throw out your bugs. Get my heavies in for my RO. Wall, Cloak, Seeds, Orbs. Then I'm just going to make sure that all of my pots are down. Just keep going back and forth between my bars, watching the timers count down. I hit Vigor 2 times every time I go and proc that skill because it only applies to 6 at a time. My RO is ready to be recast. And then your skills that have the lowest uptimes are Budding Seeds. Pretty much just Budding Seeds as a super low uptime. So every time I go to my back bar, it's generally going to be the first skill that I hit. Make sure the Harvest Synergy is out for the tank or the Alkosh. And go on about my business. It's okay to overcast. Not like anything has to fully run out for you to get the benefit of it. Just make sure your stuff does not fall off. If you can. My RO just timed out. I'm gonna do a couple more to get myself up to that 6-second cooldown. Get my heavies in. Go on about my business. Obviously in content we shouldn't be tapping out of resources, but I'm not getting pumped with any kind of help over here. So that shouldn't have fallen off in content, but it is what it is. That's pretty much the gist of it. really much else to it besides that. Flex skills that you are going to end up needing in just some really niche situations. If you are cage healing in Sunspire, the best single target heal that a Warden has is going to be Bursting Vines, which is this skill here. So you would obviously not need Vigor. You would just put that there. If you're ever on like a brittle build, which you probably won't be, you would need Winter's Revenge. Elemental Susceptibility if your group asks for it. The Healing Ward or the Ward Ally for Rockgrove or Sunspire. Ring of Preservation if you're going to be on Fallgraven, 3rd floor, it's really nice. Nothing from there. We've got Bone Shield. Your Vigor, your Rapids. If you have to run Rapids for the group, I would use Charging Maneuver. That way you get the minor and the majors. Make sure that you have your Magic Aid passive for your barrier on your front bar, just so you can get that extra recov. Got your Efficient Purge, your Mystic Guard, and then make sure that you have your medicinal use as well for your potion to last a little bit longer. And that's about it. If you've got any questions or anything, just let me know. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I'll just message you if I remember what it is.